Here I have my basic recovery kit. This is what I drive with every day, whether I'm on a trail or just driving around in town. This is the basic tools that I'm going to need to get myself out in a recovery situation. One of the things that you're going to need to think about before you assemble your own kit is, of course, what part of the country you're going to be in, what the terrain and geology you're going to be in, sand versus mud, for example, rock. The first thing that you need to really think about is what components you're going to put in your kit, and then test and use those components in your shop or close to home before you're out. Out in the middle of nowhere is no time to learn the basic principles of recovery. Now, one of the first pieces of kit that I think you should all pay really close attention to is your owner's manual. It's a simple piece of equipment, comes with every vehicle, or you can find it online if you don't have one for yours. But in this, you are going to have all of your recovery points diagrammed out and shown where the best place to hook up is and the best place to not hook up is. You're also going to get the maximum load forces that you can put on your vehicle's running gear, your axles, your wheels. Another piece of equipment that is essential for your recovery kit is a pair of gloves. With the forces that are going to be deployed on some of this recovery gear, the motion, the weight of the vehicles, things like that, what you really want to avoid is any kind of friction burns or other kind of injuries on your hands that a pair of gloves will prevent. I like the ironclad gloves by Ranch Works. They have both knuckle protection and a double seam, double walled palm so that you're not going to burn through it. The next thing, lighting. If you do happen to find yourself at night in a recovery situation, some adequate lighting is going to be essential. A lot of us carry fixed lighting on our vehicles, but having something portable that can allow you to shine light on all sorts of angles and all sorts of problems that you might encounter is pretty critical. Next, I have two different types of saws that I keep in my recovery kit. There are times and places where getting some access to some wood for additional traction or simply clearing the way for your ability to recover more effectively is necessary, and having a small saw is useful in all sorts of applications during overlanding, but particularly in recovery. So you will never find me without one of these in my recovery kit. I'm going to start talking a little bit now about these straps and shackles that I keep in my kit. First of all, let's talk about attachment points. We went through the vehicle manual and finding the appropriate fixed places on the vehicle to attach. But what if your vehicle does not have tow hooks front and back, or otherwise does not have readily accessible attachment points? If you have a receiver hitch, whether you are using this on your vehicle or whether you have another vehicle that you can attach it to and then pull your vehicle out, one of these is going to give you flexibility in where you can attach either to your vehicle or to a tow vehicle that's going to extract you. It simply plugs into the receiver hitch in the back, or if you're lucky enough to have one in the front, you can attach it there as well. Because this is what I would consider to be the critical fail points within a recovery system, I would recommend getting the highest capacity one of these that you can imagine. Next, let's talk about shackles. The two main examples that you're always going to see are hard shackles and soft shackles. In my mind, very different applications for both. Obviously, you're going to have a stronger load rating with the hard shackles than you are soft shackles, but these particular soft shackles made by Yankum Ropes are listed at their 7/16 diameter, and the maximum braking strength is 45,500 pounds. In their own right, soft shackles are big business. They can pull a lot of weight, and they can help you out in a lot of sticky situations, and they weigh a fraction of what the hard shackles do. For the hard shackles, the weight capacity is bigger. We're talking about a braking strength of 4.75 tons for this. But one of these will weigh probably about as much as, I'd say, 20 of these. So again, it all depends on your application. Next, we're going to be taking a look at one of the dumber but more useful pieces of equipment that I carry in my recovery kit. Just a BFH, a big freaking hammer. Whether it's a tool kit or a recovery kit, I would always recommend something like this to carry on the trail. Getting pins out, particularly pins that still have a partial load on them or one that has been bent or damaged. Really any number of situations that'll always carry a big freaking hammer. Next, we're going to talk about attachment points external to the vehicle. We're talking trees, rocks, things like that. I live in Missouri. I do a lot of my overlanding in Missouri. If I'm going to recover from an attachment point, it's going to be a tree, most likely. So using something like a tree strap to wrap around a tree and connect to your cable, to your recovery system, whatever it is in my mind essential. One, it gives you better strength to have this separate attachment point outside of your winch cable or something like that. but it also protects and preserves the trees. Next, we have a simple tow strap. Now note that this is called a tow strap and not a recovery strap. These are really good for disabled vehicles that are, have had a component failure and need to be towed out or something like that. Please familiarize yourself and practice using it at home before you're out on the trail. Second to last piece of equipment that I carry is this. It is a weighted blanket, and the purpose of this is to drape over either your winch line or your recovery line, if it is not a kinetic line, to prevent it from snapping and injuring somebody or damaging a vehicle if it breaks under load. Last piece of recovery gear I have in here is just a collection of webbing straps. These are not something that I would necessarily use for recovery itself, but it just has 1,001 uses for other applications during recovery. And then finally, we can talk for a moment about the box itself. It's a simple, stackable aluminum box. I carry all sorts of things. I have a separate one for my toolkit. You can stack them on top of one another. They're stable. They're not going to jar loose. It's just a great, robust, lightweight box. When you're out on the trail, the one thing you need to keep in mind is extrication, either self or for somebody else. One of the ubiquitous pieces of equipment for that is a winch. You see them all over the place. They're just simple. They do what they do, and they are, in my mind, kind of a necessary piece of equipment. But what if you don't have one? What if you're just getting into overlanding and you haven't decided yet to make the investment in a winch? The high lift jack, in my opinion, is a close second. It can be used for an unlimited number of uses. A high lift jack, in my mind, should be with you wherever you go. Another piece of equipment doesn't fit my recovery box, but I always carry it with me. And I'm sure if you don't have one, you've seen them attached to almost every overlanding rig imaginable. It's just going to be a good piece to be able to use for all number of things. Okay, guys, that's it. That is my basic recovery kit. I've made it easy for you, and I put product links in the video description below. Please stay safe out there and stay tuned for our future videos on recovery pitches and the safe way to get yourself unstuck.